evening, everyone. I'd like to start by asking if you would please turn to the person on your right, and now turn to the person on your left. What if I was to say to you that one of you would not be here at the end of the evening? Well, you might wonder what terrible thing was about to happen. You might even be a little bit apprehensive. But at the end of the evening, you would go home to your family and life would go on, I promise. But let's rethink that statement, but this time in the context of a first-year lecture theatre. As you sit there about to embark on a new journey, perhaps you're a long way from home. Maybe you're the first in your family to go to university, or maybe you've left a job to be there. How might you feel then? 30 years ago, when I started university, this turn to the left, turn to right directive was commonly used in oversubscribed courses to weed out those weaker students. Thankfully, universities have moved on a lot since then, and their role in society has changed. Traditionally, universities were seen as being for the elite. They were effectively a gatekeeper into the top professions. But since the 70s, we have increased, our student population has been multiplied over 6 times. We've now have more and more people taking advantage of this increased access. Some call this the massification of higher education. Now, there have been both positive and negative reactions to this massification. On the one hand, this open access is seen as leading to the curriculum being dumbed down, and our graduates leaving university underqualified for the field. On the flip side, though, this increased access is seen as heralding great benefits, a chance of a better job with a more stable income, and perhaps for some, breaking an intergenerational cycle of poverty. Well, I actually think that both these perspectives are a little too simplistic. I prefer to focus on understanding how the students themselves reflect on this access. I'm curious to know what motivates them and how they manage this access. I want to know how we can support them, and I want to know how it is that they are motivated. Now, some of you in the audience might be a little skeptical of this. I work in a university and I research university students. Quite unlike my colleagues here tonight, who you'll hear from, some of whom may have to wrangle rodents, locate exotic fruits, spend long hours in the lab extracting scientifically validated data. But being what we call an insider researcher is perhaps not as simple as it sounds, as we have to adopt a hypercritical lens on our data. And sometimes we even have to focus that lens on our own employer. Sorry, Vice-Chancellor. I also try to tease out the stories that illustrate the challenges that students face and hold these up as an unflinching mirror to the sector. I want to challenge dominant perceptions of students, particularly those who are first in the family. Now, one such story is that of Elle. Elle kindly agreed to participate in a number of interviews throughout her degree. Elle was 33 and the mother of 3 children when she joined our study, and she was in the 2nd year of her degree. Like many mature-age students, Elle's decision to come to university was based on a significant life event. In Elle's case, it had been a marriage breakup. Like other first-in-family students, this decision to come to higher education was already reverberating amongst her family, heralding great plans and possibilities for the future. However, Elle's study had not been uninterrupted, largely due to family and financial issues. Elle had had to drop to part-time studies because the subjects that she wanted to do were not in school hours. She'd also had to move back to her parents' home, as she was no longer able to afford household expenses. Despite financial problems, Elle was volunteering at a local not-for-profit organisation. The organisation was supporting young people who had disengaged from school. Elle enjoyed the job because she felt she could identify with the young people, having not done so well at school herself. When Elle was asked how university had changed her, she paused and said that it was not just the acquisition of new knowledge, but more importantly, it was the development in her own self-confidence and self-reliance that she most appreciated. Now, Elle's story is unique, but it shares many common themes heard in conversations with students over the years. These are stories of triumph over adversity, resilience, and bold courage. Financial issues feature strongly in these stories, and that's probably not that surprising, as nearly 50% of our students worry about their financial future. And a further 1 in 7 do go without food. For first and family students like Elle, there are many other obstacles, such as not feeling like they belong at university. Other groups, such as those from low socioeconomic backgrounds, those who are from regional remote areas, also have high dropout rates. Now, of course, there's a myriad of reasons why students drop out of university. And as Elle's story attests, the lives of our students are both complex and extraordinary. But it is precisely this complexity that I feel is an untapped resource in our approaches to supporting our students. Too often our learners are defined in terms of what they lack, whether that might be wealth, ability, or knowledge. I prefer to focus on what they have. While universities have become more accessible and the turn to the right, turn to the left directive is no longer commonly used, these unfortunately are not places of equal opportunity for all the diverse range of students that walk through the door. We only have a band-aid solution to the issue of educational retention. Now, this might not be that surprising because many universities, obviously not UOW, are wedded to a very traditional view of students. One only has to Google the term university students to see that images of people like Elle are very much missing from those on display. My research then is exploring how we as a sector can better leverage the life skills and experiences that our learners arrive with to ensure that they succeed. My big idea, if you like, is that institutions radically rethink the problem at hand and to stop asking why it is that students leave university and instead focus on why it is they stay. Based on data collected with students across the whole Australian sector, I've developed a student persistence framework that is based upon the students' cultural capitals and capabilities that they said motivated and sustained them in their studies. This framework is informing practical initiatives that are designed to value and build upon the life experiences of our learners. In our last meeting with Elle, we asked her what it was that had enabled her to keep going, to soldier on, if you like. She paused for a minute and said that it was her unflinching desire to prove others wrong and to disrupt preconceived limitations on what her life would hold for her. The title of my presentation, Educating the Masses, is a deliberate play on words. We don't often think of the term mass in a positive way. Think of mass production, mass consumption. But as Elle's story and the experiences of many other learners indicate, this massification holds many opportunities, not only for learners and institutes, but also for family, society, and broader community. However, to make this work, we really do need to make changes in how we approach and think about difference and diversity. This needs to be viewed and treated as a resource rather than a limitation. This would allow us to walk alongside our students, enabling them to achieve success in their own terms and according to their own circumstances. Thank you.